Hello everyone, and welcome to another lesson in Science 2, Introduction to Biotechnology. Now, when we use living things, animals and plants to further technology, then that branch of science is called biotechnology. In this chapter, we will be studying about animal tissues, plant tissues, tissue culture, agritourism, and agribusiness. Which components bring about important processes in living organisms? Now, living organisms begin with the cell. Every living organism is made up of cells. When a group of cells having a similar function get together, they become a tissue, that is level 2. Similar tissues having similar functions form an organ. Similar organs form an organ system, and all organ systems like the excretory system, the digestive system, reproductive system together form the organisms. Okay, so the important processes are this process from cell to tissue to organ, forming organ system, and finally the organism. Now, which is the smallest structural and functional unit of the body of living organisms? Obviously, that would be the smallest structural and functional unit called the cell. What is a tissue? A group of cells having the same origin, same structure and function is called a tissue. So when they come from the same place, they are similar in structure or have the same structure and they do the same work. These group of cells are called a tissue. A group of cells come together to perform various functions of the body. For example, we can move because the muscles and the contract and they relax. Then another function of tissues is the transport of food and water to all parts of the plant. So there are different tissues doing various jobs within the organism. Now, all functions of the body occur due to some specific organization of cells and their division of work, meaning the cells group together and they do some particular work. Now, the two types of tissue that you are going to learn about are simple tissue and complex tissue. Now, when the tissue is made up of only one single type of cell, it is known as a simple tissue. Therefore, complex tissues will be one that is made up of more than one type of cell. Examples of simple tissue are epithelial tissues of animals and meristematic tissue of plants, which you are going to hear about. And complex tissue is the blood of animals, xylem and phloem of plants. What are the differences between plant tissues and animal tissues? Plants are sedentary, they don't move from place to place, they don't play, they don't run, they don't climb. And therefore, most of their tissues are there to give support to the plant. Whereas animals move from place to place. So they need different types of tissues because they are singing, they are running, they are catching their prey, they are painting. So they require different type of tissues than that of plants. In plant tissues, there are dead cells, whereas most of animal tissues are made of living cells. Growth of plants occur only in specific parts of the body where tissues contain dividing cells. So where the plant is growing, you will have tissues containing dividing cells. Whereas in the animal body, growth takes place all over the body. There is uniform growth. So they don't have different dividing and different non-dividing tissue. Now, first we will learn about animal tissue. The four types of animal tissue are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Now, each organ will have each of these tissues. If you can see here, okay, this is the stomach. It contains the epithelial tissue, okay, then the connective tissue, the muscular tissue, as well as the nervous tissue. Beginning with the epithelial tissue. Now, the protective coverings in an animal body are called epithelial tissue. Cells in this tissue are closely packed and they form layers, one layer on top of the other or one layer below the other. Any material that goes into the body first meets with the epithelial tissue. For example, your skin. Okay? Anything that goes into the body, first it has to go through the epithelial tissue. Cells of the epithelial tissue are separated from other tissues in the body by fibrous membrane. Now, examples of epithelial tissue are skin, the mucus layer in the mouth. Put your tongue all over, you will find the layer in the mouth. Inner surface of all the blood vessels, those are the arteries, veins, and the capillaries. Walls of the alveoli, those are small balloon-like structures found in the lungs. All these are epithelial tissue. And this is what it looks like. Layers, different layers, okay, and they are separated by a fibrous tissue from other tissues. Now, these are the different types of epithelial tissue, beginning with the squamous epithelial, located in the inner surface of the mouth, the esophagus, the blood vessels, and the alveoli. They are thin, small, flat cells, and they form a semi-permeable membrane. Now, semi-permeable meaning they allow only some substances to come in and go out. For example, the skin. Now, you know, when you feel hot from within, sweat comes out onto your skin and you need to wipe it out. Also, sometimes we have, oil coming out of the skin, little bit of oil, the skin feels oily. But that doesn't mean that if I go and sit in a tub of water, that water is going to go into my body. So the skin is allowing sweat to come out through the pores in the body, but it does not allow water to go in. Now, this kind of a membrane or a thin tissue-like substance which allows only things they want to come in and out are called semi-permeable membrane. And the function of this epithelium obviously would be selective transport of substances. They allow only some substances to go in and come out. Now, the next epithelium is the stratified epithelium. From the name itself, strata meaning layers. So this is located on the outer layer of the skin. The structure is many layers of cells, and the function of stratified epithelium is to prevent the wearing of organs and the protection of organs. Prevents the organs from getting, wasted away, from getting spoiled. So they protect it. Next coming the glandular epithelium, present in the inner layer of the skin. These cells contain vesicles packed with secretory material. So small structures called vesicles are present in this glandular epithelium, and these small structures are filled with materials that need to be secreted to come out of the body. So their function would be secretion of sweat, oil, mucus, etc. The fourth kind of epithelial tissue is columnar epithelium. It is present in the inner surface of the intestine and the alimentary canal. They are column-like tall cells, and the upper free surface, that is the top, has folds made up of these cells at wherever they want to absorb something. Hence, the function of this columnar epithelium is secretion of digestive juice and absorption of nutrients. The next one is ciliated epithelium, present in the inner surface of the respiratory tract. Now, in this tissue, the upper free surface of cells has minute or very small hair-like processes. This is because they push the mucus and air forward to keep the air passage or the respiratory passage free. The last one is cuboidal epithelium. Now, as the name suggests, these cells are in the shape of cuboids, present in tubules of kidney, in the nephron, in salivary glands, and their function is to reabsorb useful materials from urine and the secretion of saliva in the mouth. The next type of tissue is connective tissue, and tissues joining different parts of the body are known as connective tissue. Cells in this tissue are loosely arranged and the ground substance could be solid, liquid, jelly-like in the spaces between them. Now, ground substance is a substance in which the different parts lie. For example, we have cytoplasm in a cell, which is the ground substance, and we have all the cell organelles loosely arranged in it. So now connective tissue is tissue which has its own tissue which is in ground substance, and that ground substance could be solid, liquid or jelly-like. Now, the first connective tissue, you will be surprised, blood is a connective tissue, and that's because connective tissues are something that connect the entire body, the different parts of the body. Now, blood is located in a closed circulatory system, that is the heart and the different tubules like the arteries, veins and the capillaries. The structure of this tissue is erythrocytes, leukocytes, that is your WBC and your red blood corpuscles, and platelets in the ground substance called plasma. Now, the function of blood, very important function, is the transport of oxygen, nutrients, hormones and waste. So blood is like the transport facility in your body. Anything that has to be carried like oxygen, digested food, the hormones and waste matter is carried by blood. The next connective tissue is lymph, present all around the cells in the body. It is the fluid oozed out from blood capillaries. Blood capillaries, they are very thin walled. So therefore this fluid oozes or comes out. It contains leukocytes and they are in a liquid ground substance. Now the function of lymph is to protect the body from infections. Next we have the areolar tissue. It is present between the skin and muscles and around blood vessels. As you can see in the figure, there are different types of cells loosely arranged and supported by a jelly-like ground substance and elastic fibers. Now the ground substance changes to jelly-like in areolar tissue. The function of areolar tissue is to support internal organs. The next connective tissue, the adipose tissue, found below the skin and around internal organs. Now they are cells filled with fat droplets in a jelly-like ground substance. The function of this adipose tissue is insulation, supply of energy and storage of fats. So people who are slightly plump or healthy, they have a lot of adipose tissue, supply of fat droplets just below the skin, and they help to insulate. Like when you fall down, you don't get hurt so badly if you have more adipose tissue. And if there is no food at some time, and you know that you are starving, then your body will use this adipose tissue and give your body energy. So there are some uses of fat in the body. Next tissue is the cartilage, present in the nose, the ear, the larynx and the trachea. If you touch your nose there, that hard substance is not a bone, it is cartilage. Similarly, if you touch the outer surface of your ear, there's a hard substance there called the cartilage. Now these are cells supported by fibrous, flexible cells in a jelly-like ground substance. Okay. Now the cartilage lubricates or oils, or keeps it, moving without getting stuck. Lubricates the surfaces of bones and gives support and shape to the organs. Next come the bones. Now you know that we have a skeleton right through our body. Therefore, bones are classified as connective tissue. Skeleton, a specific structure extending throughout the body, and the cells are like osteocytes embedded in solid ground substance made of calcium phosphate. Now, bone is the only connective tissue that is in solid ground substance, and that ground substance is made of calcium phosphate. The function of the bones, as you know, is to support and protect the different organs and also help in movement of the body. Tendons and ligaments both found at joints, any joint in the body. Tendons are fibrous, strong, and they are less elastic, less like a rubber band. And the tendons join muscles to the bones, whereas ligaments are strong and they are very flexible. They join two bones to each other. So this is the function of various connective tissue. The next tissue, muscular tissue. Muscles, fibers and muscular tissues are formed of special type of contractile proteins, due to which contraction and relaxation is possible. Look at this, contraction of muscles tight and then the muscles relax. Okay, so there is a special protein called contractile protein, due to which we can contract and relax our muscles in any part of the body. Muscle tissues are made up of long cells of muscle fibers. Muscular movement takes place because of the contraction and relaxation of the contractile proteins in these cells. The different types of muscles are striated muscles, non-striated muscles, and the cardiac muscles. If you see the picture or the figure of striated and non-striated muscles, you will see that striated muscles are long, cylindrical, they have many nucleus, therefore they are called multinucleate, but they have no branches. Whereas muscle cells are short, spindle shape, not cylindrical. Uninucleate, meaning each cell has one nucleus and they have no branches. Exactly opposite to striated muscles. And cardiac muscles, which are muscles normally found near the heart, they have the cylindrical shape of striated muscles. They are uninucleate like non-striated muscles, and they are branched not like either the striated or the non-striated muscles. Striated muscles have alternate dark and light bands, and they attach to bones, therefore they are also called skeletal muscles. They move as per our will, and we want to shake our hands, legs, etc. Therefore they are also called voluntary muscles. So we have striated muscles joined to the bones, it's called skeletal muscles, and because they work according to our will, they are also called voluntary muscles. And these muscles, the striated muscles, bring about the movements of the arms, legs, like running, speaking, playing, kicking the ball, etc. The non-striated muscles have no dark and light bands. They are not attached to bones and their movements are not under the control of our will. They happen by themselves, hence they are called involuntary muscles. They are present in the alimentary canal, blood vessels, etc. And the function of the non-striated muscles are movement of the eyelids, passage of food through the alimentary canal, contraction and relaxation of blood vessels, everything that is not under our control. So therefore, non-striated muscles are called voluntary muscles. The cardiac muscles are similar in some way to striated and non-striated. For example, the dark and light bands are present like striated muscles. The heart is made up of these muscles, and their movements are not under the control of our will like non-striated muscles, but they contract and relax rhythmically. The function is the contraction and relaxation of the heart. And finally, the nervous tissue. Now, nervous tissue helps us to respond to stimuli like touch, sound, odor, etc. Okay, so the minute I see a car coming towards me, okay, I can see it's red in color, it's making a funny sound, okay, sound which is not normal for a car, okay. Or if I'm sitting at home in front of my computer during my online classes, I can, without even looking, I know the sounds that are coming from the kitchen, who's making that sound, who is answering the phone, whose phone is ringing according to the ringtone, and what is mummy making for breakfast. Because I can get all those sensations through nervous tissue. Now, cells of the nervous tissue are made specially to get excited and to conduct that excitement from one part of the body to another. So the minute I see a color or sense a smell, some kind of smell, you see how these neurons, the electrochemical impulses passing quickly from one to the other, till the brain tells me, okay, this is the smell, this is the color, this is the feel of it, etc. This is the structure of a neuron. The cell body, which contains cytoplasm and the nucleus, is the main part of each nerve cell. This structure here with the nucleus in the center. This is the main part. Then there are all these branches, many of them called dendrites, which come from the cell body itself. One extremely long fiber here, which goes right ahead downwards, is called the axon. A nerve cell may be 1 meter in length. Many nerve cells are bound together with connective tissue to form a nerve. Now, this nervous tissue is found in the brain, spinal cord, and the network of tissues spread all over the body. Now, in most animals, action in response to any stimulus occurs due to the integrated function of the nervous tissue and the muscular tissue. Meaning, for example, if I see a snake coming towards me, now there is one reaction, I have seen it, okay, that my nervous tissue will take a message to the brain telling me this is a dangerous situation, run away from there. And my muscular tissue will actually help me to move my muscles and start running. So when I want any action, it is the combination of nervous tissue as well as muscular tissue. Now, this is an example of any organ of the body, and here you can see, look at the different circles all around, and you will see each and every tissue present in each and every organ.